Hi everyone, and welcome back to Sonya's Prep. In this week's video, I'm hoping to film a very fun video that has been very highly requested here on my channel, and that is a sneak peek into what Shabbat actually looks like in our family. This was highly requested. So many of you have asked me, and I hope to deliver today. And I know that I always usually leave you off with my Shabbat preps when I'm done cooking, but you don't really see what happens afterwards. And that's because we're not allowed to film anything on Shabbat, where we don't use any electricity. So it becomes a little bit of a problem for me to show you what it is that we do and don't do. So I had an idea to do a little mock Shabbat with just myself, and I'll try to make it as entertaining as possible for you, and I'll take you along as to what Shabbat looks like for our family, what we do, what we don't do, what kind of foods we serve. So I hope this will be enjoyable for you. For those of you who may be new here and don't know me, my name is Sonya. Welcome to my channel, and this channel is all about my Orthodox Jewish lifestyle. So I hope you guys enjoy this video, and if you do, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe if you are new here. With all that said, let's get into the video. So where I usually leave you off is when I'm done cooking, as I said earlier, and the next thing that happens is all the men in the family, so my husband and my older sons, get ready and they walk out the door. They go to temple or services or synagogue, and that's when I basically would light my candles. We light candles about 18 minutes before sundown, and I do have a calendar with all of the candle lighting times. I'm sure there's like some sort of app where you can look that up, and these are the candles that I do light. And this is the time when I call all the kids that are left over in the home. They all gather around me, and I make a blessing on the candles, and I pray for each one of my children. I pray for my husband, I pray for myself, anything that my heart desires. It's just a connection with God. I then take the time to bless each of my children. I actually don't do it as often as I would like because I'm always like busy and running around. For those of you who host on Shabbat know how difficult that time is, but I do really consciously want to just make an effort to take a little bit extra time and pray for each of my children. Now, a lot of you have asked me if I go to services or if I go to temple or shul or synagogue. There's so many different names for it, but I choose not to because I have a lot of little kids, and I just don't feel like it's the place for me to go with my very loud children who make a lot of noise. So I choose to stay home. Plus, we live quite a bit away from the shul. It takes about 20 to 25 minutes for me to walk with a stroller. So I'd rather just relax on Shabbat, just stay home, stay with my kids. But if I ever do move closer to the shul, I do plan to come, but not as often. So after I light all of the candles, I just go back into the kitchen, make sure that all of my salads have been prepped, because my salads is something that I always leave for the last moment. So now that I'm back into the kitchen, I just make sure that everything that needs to be heated up is on this hot plate. So a lot of you have also asked me how is it that I keep my food warm if we're not allowed to use any electricity. So this hot plate gets put onto my stovetop or a kitchen counter. It's plugged in and it keeps everything nice and warm. I usually line it with some foil over the top so it doesn't get dirty. I put all of my meals on top of here, all of my appetizers, and I usually do this right before I light my candles. So after I light my candles, I just reassess, make sure that I didn't forget anything, check the fridge, and I take out all of the salads that I previously made, and I finish up any of the other salads that I was supposed to make. happening. The kids that are at home are playing in the playroom. They have tons of board games. If it's nice outside, they're playing on the trampoline or they're running around in the backyard, while I'm just slowly and very peacefully and calmly getting the rest of all of my prep ready. After all of the salads are prepared and everything is warmed up, I start setting up my salads all on the table. I make sure to have the necessities, which is our Kiddush cup where we say a blessing on the wine. I make sure that I have my challah board and my challah cover, and this is where we place our bread. We always cover it because there's a biblical reason to it, because we have to say the blessing on the wine first, and then we have to say it on the challah. So there's a specific reason as to why the bread is covered. We also have to have salt on the table, and I just have my kids help out. My kids will take turns placing salads on the table. They usually fight over who gets to do it, so they all like to participate, thank God. I don't know how long this will last, hopefully for a very long time, but they do enjoy helping a lot on Shabbat. And then once everything is set, I usually just curl up on the couch with a very good book, and I just read until my husband comes home. This is my all-time favorite thing to do on Shabbat. I usually don't have a chance to read at all during the week just because of a busy mom life, but on Shabbat I look forward to reading a very good novel, and I could read for hours. And this is my spot. I just take a nice cozy blanket and I read until my husband gets home. Usually if the kids are hungry and Shabbat starts late, I do have to feed them a little bit of dinner to tie them over for the actual Shabbat meal. So we'll sit in the kitchen and I'll give them a pre-dinner and get their bellies a little bit full until my husband gets home. And then my husband walks in through the door with my older boys. We greet them. All the kids are very excited to see them, and we all gather around the Shabbat table and we start singing Shalom Aleichem, which is a greeting for Shabbat. So my husband sits at the head of the table, obviously, and all the kids gather around. When we have guests, all the guests are sitting around the table. Everyone sings the welcoming of Shabbat song. The men say a beautiful prayer for the women, and after that we say Kiddush. So we take the wine, we make a blessing on it, everyone drinks a little bit of wine. The men then bless their children. Some women take that time as well to bless their children. All the kids gather around their fathers, they get a blessing. So it's a very family oriented time. It's very beautiful. Once that happens, everyone goes back into the kitchen to wash their hands. So everybody basically takes a turn, washes their hands. We usually do it from big and small, even the little kids do it. They grab a little chair, they climb onto the chair, and the adults help them wash their hands. And that's just ritually what we do before we eat our challah. After everyone has a seat at the table, my husband makes the blessing on the bread. He dips it into some salt, gives it to me first, and gives it to everyone else in the house. We all have our bread, and then we're finally able to talk, because this entire time we cannot talk from washing our hands to eating our bread. And after that comes all the deliciousness. We serve our fish first. So for those of you who always ask me, what do you serve when? Whatever you see me cook on my Shabbat meal preps, and if you haven't seen any of those videos, I'll have them linked down below for you to get a sense of what I make for my family and for my guests on Shabbat. So I usually serve different varieties of fish depending on how many people we're hosting, and the salads are on the table. The fish is on the table first. After we're done with the fish course, I remove the fish and the fish plates. Then I serve appetizers. My husband just sneezed. I serve the appetizers then, and then we have some, so for the appetizers it would be like a deli roll, a meat pie, burekas, franks and blanks, things like that. After that, we have some of our main meals or a soup sometimes. And this entire time, we're just reconnecting with our family. We're connecting with our guests. Our children say the Torah portion for the week. During this entire time, the kids are at the Shabbat table for as long as they can tolerate. They usually always sing songs together. My husband says the Torah portion. Then the kids always bring home sheets of paper with like questions about the weekly Torah portion, where my husband would ask them questions, they would answer, they would get treats. After all of the meal is finished, we clean everything up and we start our dessert table. So for dessert, I usually have like a babka or cinnamon rolls or things that we would possibly buy. My husband actually loves baking, so whenever he gets a chance, he actually bakes for Shabbat, and we enjoy all of that with some hot tea. After we have our dessert, depending on what time Shabbat starts, I usually place my three little ones by 8 o'clock to sleep. So we get them into their pajamas, we give them goodnight kisses, we put them into bed, and my older two do stay up until around 9 o'clock on the weekends. So they usually would play board games, or they would play with my husband. I would finish up cleaning in the kitchen. A lot of you have asked me if I clean on Shabbat, meaning if I wash my dishes or not. So I personally do. I place them into my dishwasher, obviously not turning it on, but I rinse my dishes off and place them in the dishwasher so that if I need to use them, they're not all like dirty, so that I can quickly like soak them up and use them if I need to. I know some women who don't touch any of their dishes at all. They just leave them in the sink until Shabbat is over, and their pots and their pans. I don't do that, but I guess each person would have to consult their rabbi and find out what they're supposed to be doing. It's just what I do, and I have no, I guess, insecurities by telling you that I know that I am not perfect or that I do everything 100% perfectly. So if your Rav tells you to do something else, then by all means, that's what you should be doing. This is just what I do at this moment in my life. After I tidy up the kitchen and put all of the salads and all of the meals away, my husband and children do help out with that. So after that's all done, I curl back up on my couch, read a few more chapters of my book, and I usually go straight into bed. I try to go to sleep a little bit earlier on Friday so that I can just rejuvenate and just enjoy my night. Now, basically Friday night is over. We're moving on to what happens on Saturday morning. So Shabbat starts Friday after sundown, and it ends Sunday at sundown. So we're up to the point where it is Saturday morning. And for those of you who have little ones, you know that for some reason they love waking up at the crack of dawn. So at this stage, my kids usually wake up between 6:30 and 7:30 in the morning. And we've made an arrangement with my husband and I that I get to sleep in on Saturdays and he gets to sleep in on Sundays. So whenever my kids wake up, my husband is very kind enough to get up on Saturday morning, give them their breakfast, play around with them a little bit while I just get some shut-eye and just enjoy my time alone, sleeping in a little bit, which I'm sure all of us ladies could really appreciate. After I wake up, my kids usually have another breakfast, because I don't know if your kids do this, they have like multiple breakfasts, no matter how many times they ate before. So my husband will give them maybe like cereal with milk or a yogurt, and then when I wake up, I'll give them what we like is to have some bread with butter and honey with some sweet tea, so they enjoy that. A lot of you were actually curious as to what we do on Shabbat for breakfast, and that's basically what our go-to is. What I actually do is before I go to sleep on a Friday, I bring down the cereals onto the kitchen table. I take out their bowls and their spoons, I put it on the kitchen table so that they don't have to like climb onto anything and get them out, and all they have to do is put some milk in the cereal bowls with the cereal, and that'll keep them a little bit until I actually get up and make them a nice breakfast. So just a tip, if your kids are, able to pour themselves some cereal and milk, you can definitely do that, get it all ready so you can get a little bit more shut-eye in the morning. So I wake up, I give them their breakfast, I usually say my morning prayers, and after that I'll make myself a nice big cup of coffee. After we have our breakfast, I usually get all the kids changed from their pajamas into their Shabbat outfits. I change myself, get myself ready for the day, and then we play some board games. My husband usually by around 8:30 in the morning, he leaves to go to shul with my older son or my middle son as well. So we'll be a few kids left in the house. And I know a lot of women who do go to shul during the morning time. I just again choose not to. I stay home with my kids. If it's a beautiful warm weather outside, I usually go for a nice walk around the block, or I meet up with a neighbor, or I'll go to my backyard and I'll have, you know, my coffee and my book, and I'll read outside. But otherwise, we'll stay in, play games. I started to I use flashcards with my kids with like ABCs and 1, 2, 3s and letters and shapes. So we play that a little bit to get them going with their activities so that they can brush up on their skills, and they actually enjoy it. At 11 o'clock in the morning, I usually take out the fish and the appetizers that need to be warmed up, and I place it onto my hot plate. And on the hot plate, I already have either osvo or challah or stuffed cucumbers already on the hot plate, and it's been on the hot plate for 24 hours. So that's ready to go for Shabbat lunch. I just heat up all of the other stuff like the fish and the appetizers, and then around 11:30 to 11:45, I take out the salads, put all the salads nicely on the table. My kids set up the table with the plates and the spoons and the forks and the knives and the cups. Are you helping me set up the table?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Where's the knife? Where's your knife?
Over here, Mommy.
Yeah, good girl. I have again my Kiddush cup out, my Challah board out, because we do make a blessing on the wine and the Challah as well, just like we did on the Friday. And my husband usually gets home at around 12 o'clock. Sometimes the kids and I will actually greet him halfway. If it's really nice weather, we'll take a nice stroll and meet him a little bit closer to the shul. So it's a nice surprise for him, and all the kids come rushing up to him, which is a beautiful sight. And we all make our way home. So we again make the blessing on the wine, and then we all take turns washing our hands for bread. Once that's done, we start eating our fish again and the salads, and we serve the hot course, and of course dessert comes after that. Again, there's lots of singing, there's lots of intimate moments with the kids. There's a lot of beautiful bonding with the kids. We're just spending time with them, enjoying them, tickling them, playing with them, just speaking with our kids. You know, in this day and age where everything is electronic and social media and everyone's just looking at their screens, it's just a beautiful time to just disconnect and remember that you have a family and devote a little bit of time to them. So I absolutely love Shabbat, and I love the oneness and the connection and the wholesomeness that it brings into our family. After lunch at around 1:30 or 2 o'clock, I'll usually put down my little ones down for a nap, and sometimes I will go for a nap as well. And my older ones, of course, will never go for a nap at this stage because it's absolutely not cool. They usually either get together with friends, or they play amongst themselves, or they go to the backyard, play on the trampoline, while we get an hour or so of a nap. After that, my husband wakes up, we have a little bit of a dessert at the table, and he goes back to services. And I will basically spend the rest of the time either taking nice strolls around the block, just spending time with the kids until Shabbat comes out. And at around that time, now it's about at 6 or 6:30, Shabbat is coming out. And there's a whole nother ceremony that happens at that stage. It's something called Havdalah, which we basically, instead of greeting the Shabbat, we're saying goodbye to the Shabbat, and it's a whole process as well. Let me know in the comments down below if you want me to do a separate video of what that looks like in our family, what it entails, and if enough of you want to see that, I'll definitely record it and I'll post it here. So I hope I included every single part of what our Shabbat looks like. Let me know in the comments down below what your Shabbat looks like. If I missed anything, I really hope I didn't. I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up. It really helps my channel out. And don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. Shabbat Shalom from my family to yours.